Hello, welcome to episode 36 of the Wasting Time podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris. I'm here with my co-host, Nick. How's it going, Nick?
Hello, yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Our first podcast of 2020, I believe.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Okay, I guess we did a bit of a wrap up in our last episode of the year, didn't we? Of like 2019.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe let's look ahead a little bit, I guess, really, do you think?
Yeah, sounds good. Maybe we should tackle... Yeah, okay, let's talk about this first. So, Hayley Williams of Paramore's been teasing some new music. Paramore, to my knowledge, I can't remember you and I ever talking about them on this show. What are your thoughts on that band?
Yeah, you know, I've kind of listened to a little bit in the past. I like some of their kind of bigger hit tracks, but you know, never.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call myself a big fan. You know, I'll throw some in the mix from time to time.
Yeah, like I never really liked them. Like when they were first coming up on Fueled by Raymond, and I just thought they were just, you know, generic emo punk music that didn't really have the songs. And then they kind of like changed their sound to be just a sort of, well, a pop band. And since they've done that, I really like a good handful of their songs.
She's pretty active as well, isn't she? She's pretty active just kind of in general, I guess, with that, you know, with or without the band. She keeps herself pretty relevant. Yeah, and obviously the band's become so huge over the last decade, and her in herself is just like a big star. Anyway, which is why it makes sense that she would be releasing some solo music, and I'd be keen to hear what that's like, just because I like the direction she was going in on that last Paramore album. And I think she's just going to become a bigger and bigger star. And I think, is she still with?
It's kind of cool that she kind of originally comes from our world.
Is she still with Chad from New Found Glory? Are they still together?
No, they broke up a couple of years ago.
Really?
if you actually listen to the Paramore album that came out in 2017, right, there's some lyrics in there that are very clearly about that relationship. And
so, what's the scoop on that then?
How do you mean?
The breakup then? What's the gossip?
They didn't. I don't know if there's any gossip per se.
Well, what was the lyrics?
You know, it wasn't an amicable
right
breakup. If you listen to some of the lyrics, so like listen to their single "Rose Colored Boy," which sounds to me like it's about him. And
I feel like we need to get the lyrics up. Rose Colored Boy.
Yeah, which is a great song, by the way. Really good.
Has he said anything publicly or within songs or?
Not that I've noticed. You know, yeah, it seems to have mainly come from her side.
Oh right, okay. Rose Colored Boy, I hear you making all that noise about the world you want to see, and oh, I'm so annoyed, 'cause I just killed off what was left of the the optimist in me. But hearts are breaking and wars are raging on, and I've taken my glasses off. You got me nervous. I'm right at the end of my rope. A half-empty girl. Don't make me laugh. I'll choke. I mean, yeah.
You get the gist, you know.
Oh dear. Right. Well, there you go.
But yeah.
What other kind of
debate?
What other pop punk relationships are out there? Is there any other kind of power couples in the like punk world?
Yeah, there's been a few in the sort of pop punk world. Like I remember. Although I think again they're not together anymore. There was the All Time Low drummer, because like All Time Low are huge in themselves, and then he went out with Cassidy Pope, who used to sing for Hey Monday but became a big singer herself. Right. That was another one. You had Pete Wentz used to be married to Ashlee Simpson.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So well, I guess we'll just see what love blossoms in 2020. I guess.
Yeah, we will. But I suppose, but on the subject of Hayley Williams solo music, I think she's been dropping teasers on her social media, so we'll probably expect something in the next couple of weeks. I'll be curious to see what that's like. Perhaps we can talk about that on the next show.
Cool.
If it's out by then.
Cool.
I just wanted to touch on this quickly, because you mentioned Joel there. His twin brother had his first child with Cameron Diaz the other week.
Yeah, I saw the post. Radix.
Yeah, so Radix Madden. So congratulations to them.
Sounds like radish.
Yeah, maybe. But
how are they getting on?
I should hope so. I think they're keeping things quite private. Yeah. They kind of said that in their Instagram post, which is understandable when, you know, obviously they're both very famous, but particularly hers, you know, so there'll be a lot of media attention on that.
Yeah,
so
I mean, you
can't blame them for that.
You don't really see. I mean, before obviously they had the baby, you don't really see much of them as a couple really in the media or the press.
Yeah.
You see a little bit more Joel and Nicole, but I think they keep themselves quite private.
You do. You just see the odd paparazzi pictures, and then they do the odd post on social media.
I wonder with these couples,
and that's
though,
it, really.
you know, these couples, how, you know, they kind of met each other and got together at a point where they are both quite famous. So it's not like your standard relationship where you kind of just, you meet someone, you date for a while, you move in together, etc., etc. Like, I wonder, like, how much they actually see of each other, given their kind of, like, how famous they are, and, you know, obviously their lines of work, you know, kind of being all over the place. I'm always interested in to know, like, in reality, how normal is their relationship, and how much, like, time do they spend together. I guess now they got a baby, I guess that would be a bit of, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, she's really taken a step back from the limelight. I don't think she's done a film since she's been with him.
I mean, to be fair, most recent films have been absolutely horrific. Anyway, talking about, like, getting away from, like, the super famous people and actresses, anything kind of music wise it's been that's kind of new and on your radar?
I saw Spanish Love Songs have got an album out either this month or next month. They had ages ago, you know, it was like last March or April or something, they released the first single from it, so it's been a while since they put out something since then, and they put out another song from it.
It's like Kick.
It's going to be on called Kick. It's going to be on Pure Noise Records, who signed them last year. Dylan, the singer, has been on this show before, who was a really cool guest, so a little shout out to him. Did you get a chance to listen to it?
I did, man. I really enjoyed it. When's that record out? When's the full length out?
I have to look up while I'm talking to you. Are you a big fan of theirs at all? Yeah. I'm trying to look out who's produced it. It's coming out February the 7th.
Okay. But yeah, no, I really, really like that track.
Yeah. He really knows how to write a good hook, because you can, you know, like, it's clearly, you know, they're often, and they, you know, they make jokes of it themselves about how influenced by the men singers they are, but, like, I feel like they're a slightly more pop punk version of the men singers, if that makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
And that would make sense in terms of the music Dylan listens to, because when he was on our show, he talked about that a lot. Like, you know, Mike Herrera's his hero, and he had an older brother who's just still obsessed with New Found Glory and stuff. So, you know, he's kind of influenced by that music a lot, you know.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'll be keen to give that a listen when it comes out. Enjoy.
Brave Faces Everyone, it's called.
Right.
Oh, we had another new Anti-Flag come off their upcoming album 2020 Vision. Did you get a chance to listen to that? It's called The Disease.
I don't think I have. Is that the fourth one they've brought out from the album?
Yeah, it's the fourth one.
No,
it's ace. I love it.
Cool.
I love. So of the 4 songs, there was the one that I didn't really like, the one that was a bit harder than the others. I'm going to look up what it was called. But the other 3 I've just loved.
Cool. I guess that'll be released before they go on the road in February over here.
Oh, that's coming out. Oh, mate, that's coming out on Friday.
Oh, yeah. Well, I saw the other day they've got all their dates in for the UK, so obviously it makes sense that that's released before then.
Right. Are they playing up your way?
No, I think they're maybe Manchester or Leeds is the closest.
Okay, yeah.
Cool, look forward to hearing that. Seem to be kind of staying in the same kind of bracket as the last record anyway. Like, bit of a poppier kind of catchier kind of style, but with still with the kind of same kind of intent and the political kind of background,
which I think is what both you and I want from this new album, because we both really liked that last one, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so look forward to that Anti-Flag album coming out on Friday. There was a new song by Nick from Hit the Lights. I don't know if you've heard any of his solo stuff.
Haven't, no.
He calls himself Thief Club. If you like Hit the Lights, which I'm pretty sure you do, you'd like Thief Club. It's it's essentially pop punk with Nick from Hit the Lights.
Is it acoustic?
He'd be a good person.
Does he actually have like
no,
it's
band? Full band. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
He's got a bit of material because this is from a forthcoming EP, and he put out some music. It was a few years ago now, but it's all on Apple Music and Spotify, and it's worth checking out, mate. Thief Club.
Cool.
So one thing I was aware, I wasn't aware of that I heard this week was, do you know the rapper Vic Mensa?
Who?
Yeah, we're probably going to show our ignorance of the current rap world with this conversation, but I think it's interesting, and you'll see why in a minute. But so he's been a successful rapper for quite a while. He's done lots of stuff with Chance the Rapper, and so he's big in that world. But he's heavily influenced by a lot of the music we listen to. So last year he put together a band which is called 93 Punks, and released an album which I hadn't heard, but I listened to it this week because a single came out this week, the video, which has Good Charlotte on it, and he's got another song with Travis Barker on, and like Tom Morello's on his record and stuff. And so I listened to it. I'm not a big rap music guy, but I really enjoyed some of those songs.
So I did listen to a little bit, actually.
Oh yeah, go on.
And but this is the thing, right? I do like I say rap music. I like kind of my hip hop, but I like my old 90s kind of hip hop.
Right. Yeah.
And there's this kind of subgenre of like rap, like that's come about and developed in the last 5 years, which I just can't get on board with, and I guess Drake's kind of started to spark that. I don't know if it's got a name. Yeah. Don't know if it's got a name or.
Well, you've got different brands again. I'm not far from an expert on this stuff, but you've got like Mumble Rap, which he's actually having a go at on the first song on this album.
I just can't abide it. I like my old school 90s kind of stuff, and for me, I mean, this isn't the first time I heard it. I think this, they're seeing more and more of this crossover now, aren't we? And I suppose the Machine Gun Kelly and Youngblood kind of stuff kind of works with that. And I suppose we've seen it, maybe not so much in the punk scene, but you've seen it done, 10 years ago with, I guess, the likes of Jay-Z and Linkin Park and that kind of rap to rock kind of crossover.
But there's a big genre that's kind of emerged that's like emo-rap, which I didn't see coming, because a lot of these like really young kids like listened to Fall Out Boy when they were kids, basically, and it's to the extent like Epitaph are signing artists who make this kind of music and stuff. I've seen Finn McKenty, who's the punk rock MBA on YouTube, who has videos about different subjects that they're really worth checking out if anyone doesn't watch them already. But he did a video on this, and it was really interesting, just talking about how it came about and stuff. And I suppose this links back to the fact that guy who passed away recently. We talked about it on the show, how Yellow Card was suing him for $15 million because he'd allegedly stolen one of their melodies, and like a lot of, and he'd done some stuff with Blink-182, and like there's. It's this strange subgenre that's kind of emerged the last few years,
I mean, it's not for me. I mean, there's bits and pieces that I entertain, but I think it's when it's come from a more organic place, whereas rather than this kind of a rap artist has decided to kind of collaborate with, you know, and work in the kind of, you know, and to kind of divert into the punk rock scene.
I don't think I'm ever going.
Have you ever heard of that kid called Hobo Johnson and the Lovemakers? That's supposed to be like emo-rap.
Right, yeah.
And it's kind of more like spoken word, but like with a kind of angst to it. I quite like that. But yeah, okay, I think it's more. That is more. I don't know. I think it's kind of come from a bit more of an organic place rather than this kind of a kind of crossover.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just this latest style of rap. I just can't stand it.
Well, but some of this emo rap, I'm never going to be into it. But I can tolerate it more than I can the kind of rap, like certainly the mumble rap and all that nonsense. But because it's weird, like because some of the melodies are like the kind of melodies I enjoy in the music I listen to, you know, and they're and it's the same melodies, but it's just in such a different way because you've got the auto-tune vocals and it's over the beats instead of the drums, you know. And whether it will last is another question. And
it's strange, though, isn't it? Like, you know, because you yourself have never been into that genre kind of historically.
Yeah.
Never, you know, but actually for you, you kind of you're more. I guess you kind of entertain this new kind of cross genre, I guess, music now rather than.
Yeah.
And you don't have anything to kind of reflect it on, and you're not like, well, you know, this is what it should and it shouldn't be based on kind of of anything you've liked from days gone by, I guess, in that genre. But we're seeing more and more of it now, and I think I guess the difficulty for artists these days is kind of bringing something new to the table and bringing something fresh. And I think a lot of our guests have talked about it, haven't they, really, in terms of you know, kind of not putting yourself in a box anymore. And I guess as you get older, you're kind of very attached to, I guess, a certain genre. And actually, as you grow older, you start to experiment with other music. And you know, we talked about it with, I think, a few people, haven't we, where kind of younger people now they don't grow up in a world where they're kind of forced to kind of pigeonhole themselves and put them in a kind of into a category or a genre. You know, music now
this has been noted a few times.
Music now is like so accessible to like young people. So it feels like, I mean, I sound like a right old cunt here, but it's like, you know, music is so accessible to kind of young people now, and if you like being young and into music, you're kind of, I think now there's more freedom just to explore, and you know, you're either kind of into music or you're not into music, and you know, if you are, then you've got this whole world that's at your fingertips, and you know, and I guess that's maybe why we're seeing more of this crossover from historically two genres that were so far apart.
Right.
Coming together, I guess.
Do you think it's a good thing?
Well, I don't like it, but, but yeah, I mean, you know, that's just kind of, I think that's where we are now, and it's I think it's what is almost needed for new artists now, because everything has been done, I guess, really, and it's what's new and what's different and what's exciting. It's not something I'd probably ever be into, but I suppose that's just the way music has kind of developed, I guess, now. I'll tell you what I did here over Christmas, talking about crossovers.
Oh yeah, go on.
Sting and Shaggy.
Oh yeah, I haven't really heard any of their stuff, but I remember, they were on Sunday Brunch, and this was, I think, year before last. You know, as two buddies who worked together, and like, I was quite surprised.
I suppose Sting has like got a little bit of a reggae kind of kind of vibe to him, like in terms of his music. But yeah, it's a bit of an odd pairing. And I heard it on like a Christmas music compilation thing, and it was like a version of Silent Night that they'd done together.
Okay. How was it?
It was good. I fucking loved it.
But I remember when. Go on, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, I like my kind of reggae kind of music, anyways. So
yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah. I remember when they were on Sunday Brunch, they were banging on like. So Sting was banging on about this drink that Shaggy had introduced him to, where it's just dead simple. You just a bit of gin and talk about that soft drink Ting.
No.
You ever see that? It's like Caribbean soda, basically.
Right, it's like fruity or.
It tastes a bit like Lilt, basically. But you see it, you can see it in supermarkets and stuff. But I was like, oh, okay, I tried it. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
It was terrible. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, speaking of people you don't expect seeing together, like this is nothing to do with music, but you reminded me of this. I saw this on Christmas. There was a friend sent this to me. It was Ice-T and the actor who plays Boise in Only Fools and Horses having a bit of a love fest, tweeting each other back and forth.
Random.
It was so random. Someone tweeted at Ice-T and said, "How do you know Boise?" And he just replied, he was like, "Because I live on planet Earth."
Ice-T's a fan.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love the randomness of that. Going back to like upcoming music, just want to quickly mention we've got the new Mest album coming out on Friday, I think. So that one will be of interest to you and me.
Yeah.
They've released quite a few songs from that now. Have you listened to them all?
Probably not all of them. Listened to a couple. Yeah, keen to hear what the album sounds like. Wasn't really blown off my seat from what they have released, but
yeah, I still think the title track was the best one I've heard. That first one, Masquerade.
What's that called?
Masquerade.
Oh right, yeah, of course, yeah. We'll see what they have to do. They also tour back over here, don't they? Because they cancelled their UK tour last year.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were supposed to come last Easter.
I'm sure Tony did say when we spoke to him that he's kind of.
We did talk
trying
about
to line something back up again, but.
Also I saw Bleachers putting out a new album this year. Do you like Jack Antonoff stuff with Bleachers?
Yeah. No, they got a new album. Did you say?
Yeah. He's just announced that one will come this year.
Oh, nice.
He seems to do one every 3 years because the last one was 2017, and I just think he's an amazing songwriter. And I love those last two Bleachers albums.
Yeah. Did you ever listen to the Unplugged thing he did? The Unplugged.
Yeah. It was great. And I think he's interesting as a producer. Like I really, I don't love everything he does. Like he did Lana Del Rey this year. I wasn't. I mean that just wasn't for me. But I really liked his Taylor Swift album that he worked on.
Yeah, he's doing well. For
I don't know how you feel about either of those. I'd really like to.
I mean,
sorry,
Lucy listens to a bit of Taylor Swift, and I'll enjoy a little bit from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never liked Lana Del Rey. Just boring.
Yeah, that's why I found I'd never listened. Obviously, I was aware of her, but I'd never listened, and given that he'd worked on that, I was quite curious. But it wasn't for me. I did find it quite dull.
Yeah. No,
I'd really love to see him do if Blink do another album. I'd love to see them do it with someone like him. I think that could be really interesting.
Really?
Yeah, or if he just worked with a band from our genre, because he's kind of from this world anyway himself. Originally being on Drive Through Records and stuff.
But Steel Train weren't really Drive Through though, were they?
No, yeah, that's true.
Typically Drive Through.
But I listened to him on Mark Maron a few years back, and he was talking about growing up and stuff. So before Steel Train, he was in like emo bands and punk bands and stuff. You know.
They do. Have you ever watched Do you ever watch a Tiny Desk series? It's a YouTube series.
Is that a YouTube? No, I'm not sure I have.
Yeah, they do a Tiny Desk thing. I don't know if it's a label or what. Look it up on YouTube.
Okay.
Taylor Swift's done one as well, actually.
Oh, it's an NPR thing, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And they just do like get loads of pretty big artists in and like do like stripped down sets. Yeah, so Bleachers did one of them. That's really good.
Oh, cool.
Give it a listen.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about that's coming up or has happened recently?
Not really. No, been pretty busy, so bit out of touch. I have got a bit of a New Year's resolution to try and actually get to some gigs this year.
Okay.
Hopefully, starting with the Menzingers.
I'm out of town when they play London. Annoyingly.
Are you going to go to the Anti-Flag show or not?
Yeah, I might do. It's on February 4th, so it's a Tuesday. Yeah, I could make that one happen.
As it stands, I've decided not to bother with Slam Dunk this year. I've just not.
Yeah, same, mate. Same. I was just thinking about
the
lineup.
The lineup's just so underwhelming for me at the moment.
Because you had like Sum 41 and Don Brocco headlining, didn't you?
Yeah, like Sum 41 headlining, like as you know, as big as they have been in the past, it's not really like your headliner for Slam Dunk, is it? Surely, like they're not particularly relevant these days, and haven't been for a long time.
Oh,
I know they've kind of come back out a little bit.
They still get a lot of love in this world.
Well, yeah, and deservedly so. But headliner for Slam Dunk, like your main act.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, you know, they should definitely get, you know, a big stage slot at Slam Dunk. You know, I wouldn't disagree with you there.
Yeah.
But it's not an inspiring kind of headline booking, is it really?
Fair.
We still need to try and get what's the guitar player called, the Asian guitar player?
Oh, Dave Brown sound.
Which we need to get him on here. Isn't he married to Geordie?
Oh yeah. Is he?
Oh, he's got some. No, I know what it is. He's a massive Newcastle United fan.
Oh, is he? Okay, okay.
So he can come on and we can
try and hook him in.
Piss you off and talk about football for a while. Just like when we talked about football with Vinny, and you like really didn't have much to contribute.
Oh yeah. I just kind of sat there for a little bit. I'm like, unless we're talking about 90s football, then I'm kind of a bit lost. Okay, mate. Shall we maybe get into this week's guest?
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you want to...
Sounds good.
Yeah, so this week we spoke to Craig, who's the bassist and vocalist in the New York band Cold Rex, who've kind of been making some waves over in the States a little bit in the punk scene and the fest scene. He's very familiar with fest and, you know, the kind of scene that comes out of that. So he was kind enough to talk to us on the first Saturday in January. So here it is. Okay, so we are joined today by Craig from the band Cold Rex. How's it going, man?
Hey, going pretty good. It's a Saturday, so that's nice.
Nice. Can I just check real quick, because I know in the States, like, the pronunciation, your name varies from the UK. So when I say Craig, is that how you would say it, or is it slightly different?
I say Craig, but I'm from Long Island, and our pronunciations are like whacked out. Like, there's a couple things where I've like self-corrected over the years. Like I'll say horrible, but that's not my. If I'm like surprised, I'll be like, oh my god, that's horrible. So.
Yeah, I think I always notice generally the American pronunciation of what we say is Craig is Craig. So just thought
I didn't even know that, dude.
Yeah, little fun fact for you, Nick.
Cool.
So how's it go? So Saturday afternoon as we speak. How's it going, man? How's firstly, Happy New Year and
Happy New Year.
And thank you. How's the holidays? What'd you get up to?
Well, I don't know if you guys know, but for every year for Hanukkah, Cold Rex does something called Matanica. Our lead guitar player is named Matan. So for each like night of Hanukkah, we release like a new thing. So November and December is usually like a scramble to do like cover songs and like music videos, and so it's doing stuff like that. I also spent like the week of Christmas in Missouri with my girlfriend and her family.
But you're currently based in Brooklyn, right? Is that are all you guys from that area, or?
Yeah. So the band is me, Vizzy, CJ, and Matan. And Vizzy and CJ are from the same hometown as me on Long Island. We're from a town called Comac. And Matan, he's actually he's from Israel, but he came here pretty young as a kid, so he grew up in Brooklyn. And then the rest of us, we were all living in Brooklyn, and me and CJ technically live in Queens right now. It's like right on the border, because like a lot of the shows we play are in Bushwick in Brooklyn, and like Ridgewood's like a neighborhood over, so that's where we live now.
Cool. So I mean, I guess looking back at 2019, I guess would be a good place to start, because I guess it was some milestones for you guys last year with the album. Could be okay. This could be okay last year. How was your year? I guess really, because you did quite a lot of shows after releasing that, right, over that way.
Oh yeah, plenty of shows. Yeah, we put out the album May 2019 called "This Could Be Okay." We started recording it at the end of 2018, and I think we finished recording in 2018, and then we spent a good amount of 2019 mixing, which is my least favorite part of making a record, because it's just the band like. Do you hear that? There's like a fuzz. There's like a crinkle for like 1 second in the drums. Do you hear that? You're like, I don't hear it. But I think all the work paid off. And then, we put it out in May, which is great. It's always fun to share your records with people. And then we did a week-long tour in June. We hit up the Midwest, the East Coast. That was cool. And then we got to play Fest.
Nice.
Yeah. And how many times have you played Fest now?
That's a good question. I think.
Oh, right.
As Cold Rex, we've played it 3 times.
Okay.
So I guess is there a story behind that in terms of another band you were kicking about?
Well, now I play in 2 bands now. I also play bass in a band called Answering Machine, and they've played Fest the past 2 years. But I used to play in a band called Freya Wilcox and the Howl with CJ, our drummer. And I think we played Fest with Freya once. And then before we were Cold Rex, we all played in a ska band called Eli Whitney and the Sound Machine. And we got to play Fest one time. So I always really liked that I got into the Fest group, like still with my ska band.
How did that initially come about then, in terms of kind of making those connections and getting that first kind of booking in Fest? Was there a way in, or...
Fest is interesting. It's my favorite music festival, definitely. But they used to accept applications. Like Fest 9, I think, was the last year they did that, and I filled one out, and it was like really silly. They would like write down like references of other people in punk bands, and I was like kind of BSing a bit to try to make myself seem cooler than I was. Like, I kind of know this guy in this band, and we did not get on that year. But yeah, we had the email for we asked for 5 years until they were finally like, okay. There was the year before it's Fest 14 was the one that Eli Whitney got to play. But Fest 13, they were like, maybe this venue might close and then we won't have a ska stage. And I guess it didn't work out. And then 2014 we got to play, or Fest 14, excuse me. Fest is a year behind, I think. So that was 20.
Yeah, it's the year. It's like the number below, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're kind of established acts in one way or another playing there. So I have a lot of friends who go over and play Fest or attend Fest. Have you made a friends from over our way from your times at Fest?
Yeah, actually, just going to Fest, Vizzy's first Fest was Fest 10, and my first Fest was Fest 11. But just by going, we made friends all over the country and the world. So I don't think we would have been able to tour if we hadn't built up a network of people. Just meeting them in the registration line at Fest, Fest 11. So that was really cool. But trying to think UK, who I've met. I met I've been talking with the dude from the Run Up, and they put out a record recently. And it's super good. I saw the band Fresh. I didn't know them. My girlfriend wanted to see them. I was really impressed with their set.
Okay, yeah, I know of them. I don't know too much about them. What kind of sound do they have? Who would you compare them to?
It's kind of, this is I think a thing going on right now in punk rock where it's kind of indie rock. In terms of maybe the music is the structure's not so crazy. It's more mid tempo, but the energy and the raw emotion are there. So it's like, just like bass drums, guitar, and a woman singing, and she just like kills it. Like at one point she's just like screaming, the kind of scream where like this wasn't like practiced. This is just how you feel. And I was really into it.
So what, I guess what are the plans for 2020 now then, really, for you guys? Have you got much lined up? I guess show wise, any tours or anything? I mean, It sounds like you juggle a couple of projects as well. So
we have we'll probably put out like 2 or 3 singles in 2020. Kind of like This Could Be Okay B-sides, like stuff that like songs we all really liked, but like you don't want to necessarily put everything on a record. These are just all the songs we had, and then you want to just like arrange it in a way where like the record makes the most sense. So we have a few songs left over from that recording session. At the end of February, we're going to do a couple like weekend dates, like in like the Northeast and on the East Coast with. Have you heard of The Eradicator?
Only from seeing that you guys are playing with them. So no. What's the deal with them? What
it's a whole thing. I love it. It's kind of more performance art, but it's there's a skit. The '90s skit show, The Kids in the Hall.
I know of it. I've never really seen it. I think it really made its way this way.
Yeah, it was a skit show. I think they were all Canadian. But there's this one skit called The Eradicator about this dude who wears a ski mask and plays squash and takes his squash league very seriously. Squash is kind of like racquetball or like sort of like tennis. You have like a racket. Yeah. And the skit's not good. It's not funny. You watch it and you're like, all right, they're trying a thing. And this dude, Andy, who's like the sweetest man ever, who lives in Chicago, he made an entire hardcore band and has put out 2 full-length albums just like as this character, the Eradicator.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like he plays like the hip Brooklyn shows, and like all the hip people in Brooklyn love it. Like everyone just loves it. It's the coolest thing. I think I was at Pouzza Fest one year up in Montreal, and I literally like left seeing Pup early to go watch the Eradicator. Yeah, so we're gonna he's doing like a lot of touring where like his backing band's always different. Like on his first album, I think Direct Hit is his backing band. Yeah, so we're going to be his backing band for like all the dates we're playing with him, which is exciting. So I have to learn all these Eradicator songs. Yeah, we're in his most recent music video as his backing band.
So what will you do then? Just open with your own set and then just basically?
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to play a full Cold Wreck set and then a full Eradicator set, and then I'm just going to die.
Yeah. How many of those shows are you going to be doing?
I think there's like 5 or 6. Yeah, and then. So we're doing those, and then in March we haven't announced anything yet, but we're planning a West Coast tour, so keep an eye out for that.
Cool.
Okay.
You haven't done much over on the West Coast yet, right?
No. So me and CJ used to play in a band called Freya Wilcox and the Howl, which is like this blues punk kind of band. That was really cool, and we did a West Coast run one time. But yeah, Cold Rex has never been out there.
Are you aware of much of a following that you guys have out there?
Well, because of Fest, you kind of have like fans all over the place. When you play music festivals, you get fans from like all over, which is cool. And we're gonna do the whole thing with like a band from out there that tours a lot. So.
Oh, okay, but that is yet to be announced. Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
We'll not try and get it.
Probably okay to talk about it, but I don't
know. I mean, I guess it's all been quite engineered, quite DIY anyway for you guys in terms of getting over there. I think. I don't know. I guess keen to understand what it's like over in America. Obviously, UK is such a small place. Kind of DIY scene can kind of flourish quite easily, and you can get from city to city. You can cover the whole country, in a day or two. So I mean, how does that work kind of over your way? And I guess in terms of the scene in Brooklyn, but actually kind of branching out. You say you've done a lot down the East Coast, but I mean, how does that play out in terms of going further and wider?
You're right. America's so big, and it's so annoying to get places. I actually just drove back from Missouri last week. So
yes, you were saying
a brisk 18-hour drive.
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah.
We broke it up into 2 days, but it was like miserable.
But do you use like booking agents, or are you just really just kind of organising shows through like bands you've met on Fest and friends? And I mean, is it still very much a DIY as you go further and wider?
Gotcha.
Across the country?
Yeah, network, like meeting people at music festivals has definitely been like the biggest help ever. Vizzy are the other, so like I do lead vocals and write half the songs, and Vizzy does lead vocals and writes the other half of the songs. I'm kind of glad that we got the experience of being in this like punky ska band before we were Cold Rex, because I think we like learned how to be a band under a lot of different situations and how to do everything. And Vizzy's kind of like our manager, like he's in the band, but he like does all of that stuff. Like he books, I'll books like a lot of the local shows. But he books all the tours, like puts a lot of work into it. He gets us on all the festivals, like handles distributing all of our music. So, but essentially, like the fest scene like does extend to like certain places, but other places like you kind of have to know people, or you kind of just like guess, like, or you just get any show you can, and it's kind of like it's a gamble. So sometimes like I don't know, I had this very idealistic view of like when we were getting ready to do our first tour ever. I saw the band Dead to Me open for Against Me.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking to, nice. And I was talking to, it was like the White Crosses tour, I think. And I was talking to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was years ago. I was talking to like Chicken from Dead to Me. And I was like, I'm going on my first tour ever. Do you have any advice? And he was like, yes, drink water and like don't have any expectations. Because in my head, I'm like, every show of like touring bands are legit and every show of tour is going to be amazing. And then I think that like you even see it in like punk songs now. People talk about like just how like there's a lot of empty shows on tour, or like you don't really know what you're gonna get. Lucky for us, like we don't tour like a super, like usually we do 1 or 2 a year, and when we do, like we usually hit up areas we've been before or we have friends. So we've actually been pretty lucky with that.
Cool. I guess any ambitions to I guess get across to Europe at any point, Neil?
Here's what I can say. I'm planning to do like a solo record next year of like mostly Cold Rex songs, but just like there's like I've played in like a lot of bands over the years, and I've written songs for most of them, and I kind of want to reclaim a lot of those. So I'm gonna do like kind of like an acoustic, but like with some like trumpets and glockenspiel and stuff like that kind of record. I'm gonna record that, and then maybe I'll be in Europe in the summer. I don't know.
Nice. What's like your full-time job like? How's it with balancing the band with that? I mean, what kind of line of work are you in?
I think like when we were younger, like I was always really stressed out with jobs, because I was always like, I want to tour, but I also like need to work, because like after you hit 26 in the States, like you have to get your own health insurance. Health insurance here is like crazy. Like it's based on like your employer, but like unemployed people also have health problems. So I work at like a technology startup that's like gives us unlimited time off that I don't like, truthfully don't really like abuse or anything, but it just I don't get stressed out, because I know if I need time off I can have it.
Look, if you don't mind me asking a personal question, how old are you guys?
I'm the oldest, which everyone likes to remind me of. I'm 31. I just turned 31.
Okay.
I think Matan's the youngest at like 20. I think he's 26 now. He might be 25.
Right.
Is he 6 years younger than me? Oh my god.
Well, you guys are still at kind of an age where I'd say it's acceptable to like, you know, kind of push the band as much. Not that it's not acceptable like once you really get into your 30s, but it's interesting, you know, just talking to the bands and like, you know, how much time they put into it as they get older, you know.
Yeah, and I think there's like perceptions of like it's easy to do both or balance them, but there's a None More Black song where like he has the lyric of like double working. That's exactly what we're doing, and it really is like you work all day, you're tired, and you go to band practice for 2 hours, and if you have a couple beers, maybe you're too tired to have a couple of beers, and like twice a week I have band practice because I'm in 2 bands. So, and then like if you have I have 2 shows a month usually if I'm not like touring. So and then you go to shows on top of that. So sometimes I just want to come home and not talk to anybody.
Yeah, but I suppose sort of part of that as well in terms of the music becomes a bit of therapy and a bit of kind of, you know, getting away from all that shit, really, isn't it? And I guess everyone have, you know, we live in kind of such a stressful world now in terms of jobs and how hard you know people have to work. It's, you know, it's important that people have things like music and hobbies and sports to actually come away from it and you know, detach themselves and kind of do what they enjoy, I guess, really.
Yeah, definitely. Like one of the big things I love about music is that it does, like, as you get older, like forces you to like have friends and be social and go out. Sometimes I have music friends who are like, I want to hang out outside of shows, and I'm like, me too, but like we hang out at shows, and that's a big part of why I go to them.
Cool. So what kind of shows do you go to personally then? Is it mainly punk stuff, or have you got a bit of a range of music?
DIY right now is like, it's like a confusing term because DIY could really mean any kind of music, but I think there is a certain vibe I definitely prefer like small shows in my old age, like the kind of shows I would play. Because I feel like, I don't know, it's like more important that you're there and like there's like X amount of people there supporting like all these local bands. And I think there's a lot of really, really great small bands making really cool art. And it's like so cool also when your friends put out EPs and albums and you listen to them and you're like, this is awesome. Like we don't, like you don't need like necessarily like to only listen to bigger bands. Like there's people around you making really cool art and really cool music. And like it's different when you could like hang out and talk to them. Like that song is great and you could like talk to them about like why they wrote it or like how their new record is going, stuff like that.
On that subject, out of your peers, who would you recommend right now?
Okay, so there's I think a lot of
on our radar.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great music in Brooklyn right now.
Okay,
Nervous Dater is a big one. A lot of people like them. Good Looking Friends also, like what they put out an album a few years ago that's like really, really good. I know they're working on a new one. Ellen and the Degenerates put out an album this year and then broke up. There's a band called Foxy Dads where the woman used to do like a lot of our art, and I've like filled in once or twice. I'm trying to think of other Brooklyn bands now. Awful Din are really cool. They have a lot of really good songs. Warren Britt is like a hip hop act, but he comes to like all of our shows, and he's like the nicest guy. So like he'll play some of our shows sometimes, and he's like got like a great energy, and he has some really great songs. Also, I play an Answering Machine. You could check out Answering Machine. We have an album coming out. We have an album coming out this year, and we'll probably be playing. It's nice that like I play in two bands in the same scene because like I'm already at the festival,
Do you have like a goal for either of those bands, or are you kind of happy at the level they're at, or would you like to see it grow to where you're kind of doing them? It's taking up a bit more of your time and you're touring a bit more. Or are you kind of happy at the level it's currently at?
I'm kind of happy the level it's currently at. Like I do have some friends who tour more, and like I just see how hard it can be. Like they lose their jobs. Like you come home, like now you don't have health insurance, or you do, but it's really expensive, and you're in a spot where you don't have money. It's definitely tough to push the DIY thing. And even if you do have like a lot of buzz and success, like that doesn't necessarily translate into any kind of financial stability, which is really tough as you get older, I think. So I don't know. I feel really like lucky and privileged to just be able to play the festivals that I play, to put out the records I get to put out. Like Cold Rex doesn't really do anything with labels. Like we do everything ourselves, which is really nice. Like, and it's like,
would you plan to keep it that way? I guess. I mean, if I guess offers did come along, would you listen to them, or are you keen just to kind of keep everything DIY and kind of self-released and what have you?
I think Cold Rex would keep self-releasing, and it's because like we don't really need a label to do anything we want to do. Like we put out This Could Be Okay on vinyl by ourselves. Like we paid Michaela Jane Palmero did all of the art for that record, and she's really, really good. So yeah, she did all the art for that, like busy organized, ordering everything. Like if you work a full-time job, then you could probably afford to put out, like I don't, no judgment on anyone's situation, but you could probably afford to put out the vinyl yourself. Like I think pressing it costs like around $1,700 for 250 copies. So like that's like not like unattainable for a lot of people. And then like, it's also expensive to record a record, but like there's, I think that like in terms of what labels do now anyway, like if a label is interested in you and they want to put support behind you, I think that could make sense. But if you're like asking labels, then you're probably not their first priority, because like you were putting your stuff out to them, and I feel like it could be a headache. Yeah. You're on their release schedule, like maybe you disagree on certain things. It really depends.
Just curious a little bit about like growing up in the New York area, what that was like for you, and like what was the first music you got into? Because I'd be curious to see like how that compares to us, because like you're a little bit younger than us, but not that much. We're kind of around the same age, so like just like I guess like what were your first sort of musical experiences and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think in 2005, me and Vizzy both had our parents take us to see Blue Oyster Cult at some big venue on Long Island.
All right, okay.
That was interesting, but that wasn't like my first formative music experience. My first formative music experience, I think I was 16, and it was like a show in a church where there was like, I think there must have been like 15 bands. Like some venue bailed on some like tour, and like they just last minute combined all these like shows together, which now is like a nightmare to me. But like when I was 16, I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. And there was like screamo bands and ska bands and like acoustic acts, and like I still like got to like play and see those bands for years after the fact. But the band that really stuck out to me was a band called the Homecoming Queens. and they were like the ska band. They're like a little serious, but like a little silly, and over time decided to be more serious. But they kind of like Stray Manifesto type vibes, were like really, really tight. Like one of the horn players, like why not? Like like one of the trombone players is like a famous trombone player now. Like he's like played with like Taylor Swift and Elvis Costello and like the Roots, and so like. Yeah, it's funny because when we were younger, he was always just like a little better than everybody else, and then he got like a lot better than everybody else. That's really cool. But yeah, that was like, I'm like, I don't know. I got really excited. I'm like, these guys are like my age, and if they could do it, I feel like I can do it. And this seems really cool. So my first band, actually, Vizzy, the other singer guitar player in our band, like, he was in my first band in high school.
Yeah.
I asked him, like I just asked anyone I knew who played an instrument, and me and Vizzy started our first ever band. He just sang, and it was like not very good, but you got to start somewhere.
What kind of style would that have been?
Just like rocky kind of stuff. We did a lot of Oasis covers because one of the guitar players loved Oasis, and because of that, I kind of hate Oasis now. Because I was like forced to like play Wonderwall unironically, and it's kind of hard to get over that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I don't envy you there. Yeah, wow.
So we did that. We like covered like Slither by Velvet Revolver, and that's how I started writing songs. And the songs I wrote back then were like not good at all. They were just very silly, and I didn't really know how to write or play music. But I just like played bass, and I would try to write songs. And then like that band fell apart, but like I kept busy, and I like learned how to play drums. And like we had like another high school band that like still was not good, but like the end of high school, I started writing songs about my feelings. Like I felt like I needed an outlet, and I was like into it. And then people liked those songs. I just kind of kept leaning into that, and that's kind of. And then me and Vizzy started our ska band in like 2008 or 9. We started practicing as Eli Whitney and the Sound Machine. Which, if you've ever wanted to hear ska Cold Rex, there you go. But we did that for like a long time. I think until Cold Rex started 2016. So from 2009 to 2016, we like wrote these like ska songs and like put out 2 albums and did like a lot of touring and played Fest and Pooza Fest. And like CJ was always the drummer for that band, and he's still the drummer in Cold Rex. We had like 4 or 5 horn players at one point, but the thing with horn players is they start to like move away and get married and stuff. So we're still friends with them, but they all kind of just like moved away. Yeah, and then we just like I think this happens to most people. At some point, you stop writing ska songs. There was a time to write ska, and then we put out this EP that we re-released as Cold Rex called Tiny Refuge, and it's just at that point Matan was playing trombone and guitar in our band, and it was just the 4 of us, and we really recorded this EP, and we're like, it seems like it felt like a new, different thing. Like we have moved on, we have a new thing we're doing. So yeah, we're like, we're gonna make a new album, we're gonna be a new band. We spent like 8 months probably debating a new band name. We're really bad at coming up with good band names. Obviously, Eli Whitney and the Sound Machine's like a really terrible band name for a lot of reasons. We're really good at coming up with bad band names.
Hey, well, Nick and I back in the day used to play in a band called First Time, so we can relate to that.
First Time, it's got like front bottoms kind of vibes.
I think everyone expects some major story behind like how a band name came together, when the reality is, I think for a lot of bands, it's just the band members sitting in a room throwing different random ideas out and seeing which one lands the best. You know,
it's just whatever the least bad idea you have is at the time. Like that's totally what it is. And then I think the hope is that the band gets good enough that no one cares about the fact that the name's kind of stupid. Like the Hives, like if I just heard the Hives in a vacuum, I'd be like, this band name's disgusting, but then the band's so good you don't care about the name. Or like the Strokes, like that's like a really weird name.
Or like Fun. Like imagine calling your band Fun, you know, like what's that about?
But then they started putting out these, like, they were a band for a long time before they got big too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so Cold Rex, the other name we were thinking of is Keep Sinking. And I actually have a tattoo of an anchor that says Keep Sinking, and because people get anchors that say like I refuse to sink, but anchors sink, so I kind of lean into that a little bit hard.
That's kind of cool. Not that there's anything wrong with Cold Rex. What was the thinking behind Cold Rex?
Just that we were like writing different kinds of songs, and we felt like we also really hated the name Eli Whitney and the Sound Machine. Eli Whitney, I don't know how familiar you are with American history, kind of a bad dude. And both in like what he did in big ways and in small ways, so we wanted to get away from that, and like no one like called us out on it or anything, but just as we got older, we're like, can't really ignore that this is a very bad and terrible and offensive band name, so we wanted to get rid of that. I just, kind of wanted to start fresh. Some people were like, nah, like you put out some good albums. You don't want to lose that. People like you guys, but we're like, nah, we wanted a fresh start. And let me tell you, it was great. It's like being a phoenix rising from the ashes. Like you leave all the old stuff you don't like. You have like a new band name that you like. You get to like just start again, but you keep all like the skills and things you learned. So it was definitely the right move.
Have you? I mean, how did that kind of work in terms of transition, in terms of fans and?
Definitely got more of a following when we made the change. But like Facebook lets you change your page name one time, no questions asked, and we never changed it.
Yeah. Right, so you kept all the old.
So we still had that. Yeah. So we just changed. We made a new one for our ska band that has like 20 likes now. But we got to keep all the fans we built up on Facebook. We just changed our Twitter and Instagram names. I think Vizzy, because he could be a little particular, went through and like deleted a lot of old stuff if he didn't like it or want it or he felt like it was confusing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got to keep all of that. I think most of our like friends and fans knew. I still get people sometimes who are like, "Wait, you guys used to be in Eli Whitney?" I'm like, I feel like it's the same singers, It's like, but I guess people don't. It sounds different, I guess.
Well, I guess we don't want to keep too much of your time, but it's been really nice chatting to you on here, dude. I don't know if there are any shout outs you want to give before we wrap up.
Well, we just did Metonica. So if you go to the Colrex Facebook page, you could find all these. Like we did like a Hot Ones parody called Cold Ones, where me and Vizzy eat really spicy cold spaghetti and ask each other questions. We did one where we let anyone.
I like that.
It was a lot of fun. I went to the store in Williamsburg that has all like the hot sauces from the show Hot Ones. So we got the last dab and everything. Yeah. It was crazy. We also had like we had like an email address anyone could email called Craig Needs a Tattoo, where anyone could suggest a tattoo idea, and then the band voted on it. And then I just got that tattoo without knowing what it is until it was permanently on my body. So check that stuff out. Answering Machine's going to put out an album next year. Keep an eye out for that. Also, I'll shout out Wasting Time Podcast. Thanks for reaching out to me. I was listening to the Tom May one for the Men Singers. That was really cool.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm a huge Men Singers fan.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of hear the influence. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Oh, we actually the guy who makes our albums. He made the first Men Singers album, and he did the Hold On Dodge EP. Jesse Cannon.
Oh, right. Jesse Cannon did. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nice, He's a producer.
Oh, also, I saw you threw us a like before, so I just want to say I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, of course. I can't believe I didn't like you sooner. I'm so sorry about that.
No, don't be silly, man. Don't be silly.
Well, I mean, let us know if you do make it over here next year. I mean, is that just still a bit pie in the sky, or is that more confirmed than?
I'm definitely playing a show in Europe. It's not in the UK, and I think that's probably as much as I could say for now. But I'll definitely announce it when it's all like official.
Are you over here kind of just traveling in general, or is it kind of purely a kind of music trip?
Like I'm gonna play a festival, but me and my girlfriend we're gonna hang out in Amsterdam for like a week. If you have any suggestions, let me know.
Nice. It's been about 10 years since I went to Amsterdam. So,
I was going to say longer than that.
My suggestions would probably be expired now.
The one time I went to Amsterdam was to, and this was in early 2002, and I went to go and see. Do you remember the band Midtown?
The name's familiar. I'm not sure.
They were drive-through records band, but like they were playing in Utrecht, which was local. So that was my only experience of Amsterdam, but those were good times.
Gotcha. Yeah, some people have been like, "Oh, you're going to be bored if you're there for a week," and I'm like, "That sounds great. I just want to hang out with my girlfriend for a week, have a chill time, and then maybe play a music festival. Who knows?"
Maybe.
Nice, man. We'll look out for that.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
thanks
good
so
luck
much
with everything this year, mate.
Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, we'd love it if you could subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's iTunes or Spotify or Stitcher or anywhere like that. Also, check us out on social media. If you just search for Wasting Time Podcast on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, give us a like or a follow on any of those. And also, we love hearing from listeners as well, so feel free anytime to drop us an email at thewastingtimepodcast@gmail.com, or obviously you can message us on social media as well. But we'll catch you next time.